Previously on Zormis projects. Welcome back to part 2 of my video stump removal. In this video, I will be removing a bunch of little stumps, a couple of medium-sized ones, and some rotten ones as well. What you're looking at is the stump on the back of my shed. I think this one will be the most difficult to remove out of all of them. What made this one so difficult was the fact it being so close to the shed, it was hard to get to, and I had to worry about roots being under the foundation. And as you can see, there's a lot of brush around the tree stump as well. I just used the backhoe to clean it up and kind of dig the roots out of those as well. My plan going in was to take the roots out all around the shed as I could, and hopefully if there is any roots underneath the shed, I could just rip it out. A lot of the stumps I dug out in this video are around my shed. With all these trees and brush, I had a lot of water problems around my shed, including the drainage ditch. Well, I should say the non-existing drainage ditch. Because where the hill runs into my shed, I want to trench it out. I want to put any kind of idea I can think of to help with the water flow. I'm not sure if I'm going to put down rock or if I'm going to put down some sort of underground water drainage. Right here, I would love to get a better angle on this, but the problem is my outriggers will be in the way of the shed. I'm trying to get to a root that I think is behind this tree. If I can't get it from this angle, I'm going to try from the other side. One of the little tricks I learned is that if I just play around with the tree stump and kind of push and pull on it, I can kind of see where the roots are trying to come up, and that shows me where I need to cut. At this point, I only put one outrigger down so I could get closer to the shed. I'm just trying to get to this root that's behind here. I'm getting desperate. If this doesn't work, I'll probably just get my truck and wrap a chain around it and pull it out. I think that did the trick. I can feel it starting to loosen up. I can pull on it further and further. I reposition once more. I think I can get it out from this angle. This is probably the second longest stump that took me to get out. The rest of them go pretty easily after this. I'm going to try to pull it towards me, try to pull it from that root. I have to admit, this is the most satisfying part when it comes to digging out tree stumps. At this point, it's mostly out, but there are a couple of roots that are stubbornly holding on tight. My camera fell out of position and I didn't notice it, but you can see that it is coming out finally. Now it's just a big pile of mess to clean up. Here's what it looked like after all that mess was gone. All the big stuff is gone, but I do have to clean up the roots and whatnot. This next stump is a big one, but it's been there for a while and it looks pretty rotten. This is either going to be really easy or really hard. I was avoiding this one for a while. I even dug up some little stumps around it that you will see in a little bit. I even tried to push it over with the front loader, but I couldn't get it to budge. So that's what makes me worried about this one. But we'll trench it out on each side and see what happens. Alright, here goes nothing. The ground feels really soft. This is really easy to dig through. I wonder... Are you serious? Was it really that easy? I'm really surprised I couldn't push this over with a bucket. I mean, this just came out way too easy. Way easier than I thought it would. I guess it just needed to be pulled from the top instead of pushed over from the side. Now under all this dirt is another stump, a little one. It should be pretty easy to pull up. I got a good hold of it, I'm just trying to curl the arm up to pull it out. And like Kelly Clarkson, it broke away. Now I'm going to dig out a stump in a lawn that I actually care about, even though it is still kind of rough. That's a project I'm working on as well, trying to get this lawn in tip-top shape. Fun fact, this tree, as well as others, are buried on top of our neighborhood water line. I had the water lines marked when I first moved in, and I couldn't believe that the tree row that the people who had built the house had planted was right on top. I guess they didn't call it before they dug. Talking to the water company, they said they usually bury the water lines 3 feet deep, so I'm not going to go near 3 foot deep, but I'm still nervous. You know, if they dug a hole to bury these trees when they first were saplings, they had to have dug, deep enough where they didn't hit the water line. I'm trying to score pretty close. I'm trying not to rip up too much of the sod, but I'm not doing too great of a job at avoiding that. But it pops out pretty easily and the hole covers up nice. This was another tree that died on top of the water line. I just pushed it over and it broke right at the ground level. This one should come out pretty easy. And it does, even though it was a lot bigger than the other one. Now we're back at the shed. Another one I need to take out. This is where the higher ground runs into the shed. This is the stuff I really need to clean out. As stated earlier, I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do something like trench it out, put some rock down to create a drainage path, or maybe I will build a retaining wall and kind of do that as well. Might even put in some underground drainage with some catch basins. Something to diverge the surface water from running into my shed. I will say though, cleaning up all the trees and the brush and the leaves and whatnots around the shed has helped a lot with the water soaking up in the outside of it. This had a pretty decent sized bulb, but it came up pretty easily. Here's another one that's right next to that big rotten stump I dug out. This was before, of course, I dug out that big rotten stump. I wanted to clear out all these little guys before I tackled that, and as you can see, there was nothing to worry about. This one here was a little more stubborn, so I had to go in from a different angle to dig it out. And I think that's normal for any decent sized stump. You want to kind of cut in that box pattern that I showed in the first video. That way you got all the roots around the whole stump. In the last couple ones I dug out, the roots were kind of weak, so all I had to do was really pull it out. And as you can see, you can feel that it's just about ready to come out. Surprisingly though, it just kind of rips up as it comes out. But, it'll all come out piece by piece. And there it goes. The rest of it. And this is the last one I need to pull out next to this rotten stump. For these smaller stumps, that curling motion with that blade to pull up on it, I think that's what really helps out, what really gets them out. It also seems to be a good way to cut through thick roots as well, to kind of do a sawing motion. Now the rest of the video was filmed a week later. The ground had dried out since then. I can feel more of a resistance, but it still wasn't too bad to dig out. But, you know, this did kind of break up a little bit when I did dig it out. This next one was a little more stubborn. I had to do the box pattern method to get it out. Funny enough, the only thing I don't like doing when digging out these stumps is repositioning the tractor. Mostly because being a subcompact tractor, there's very little wiggle room to move around. So getting on and off is not the easiest thing. Well, I have it all cut from all sides, so it's time to give it a shot to see if we can pull it out. That wasn't too bad, but I did tear up the ground more than I wanted to. After I filled the voids with dirt, I had to go back and take the sod and kind of put together like a puzzle. I needed to repair my chainsaw, so instead of just fixing it, I just took this little tree and dug it out as it was. I figured, you know, with all the leverage it has, it should come out pretty easily. I assume I'm going to have to, you know, reposition and dig from all sides, and that shouldn't be too bad. As I dug, I would, you know, push on the tree to see if I could just push it over, seeing what kind of roots I needed to cut to finish the job off. Eventually comes out. The only thing I forgot to do was shout timber. Alright, final tree. I cannot wait to get rid of this one. This thing is just ugly. At first I thought something was wrong with it, but then I realized they had tied it up, the former homeowners did, with coat hangers to try to make it grow like a horse or something. I would trim it up, you know, it would look okay, but the next year it just looked like this again, and it didn't look that great to begin with, so I thought, I got tired of mowing around this thing. I'm just getting rid of it. The only positive thing I can think to say about this one is at least they didn't bury this on top of the water line or the electric line or anything else. You know, if I was going to do some sort of animal, I would think I would use a bush or something I could shape easier than, you know, this whatever kind of tree it is, some sort of evergreen. Have you, any of you, seen something like this? And did it look good? I would definitely like to see some pictures. Did I make a mistake? I'm not sure. Actually, no, I am sure. I didn't make a mistake. So between the broken chainsaw and the ground drying out, this one was a bit of a pain to dig out. Maybe I should have, you know, wet the ground first and let it soak overnight, but it is what it is. Again, like the other tree, I would dig a little bit and push on the trunk to see what it felt like, to see what I needed to do to get this thing out. Eventually it does start to fall over, and I'm relieved. I'm tired of messing with it. This was probably the most satisfying one just because I really dislike this tree. You know, the other trees I took out because I had to, or they were dead or whatnot. This is the first one I took out just because I wanted to. So right now I'm just trying to grapple it, seeing if I can get a hold of it with the backhoe so I don't have to drag it off by hand. Yep, I think that will work. Well, if you're still watching this video, you are definitely a weirdo like me and just enjoy watching people do things like this. Because I have watched plenty of videos just like this, and I figured I would just add to the pile. Again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.